them every day.
They've been pushing us around for 3 years, and now they're going to shed blood for us.
Let Lisa talk. Let her talk.
We're all scared to go to school because we're scared we're going to get stabbed.
Well, we don't want them in ours. So we have to worry about going to school. Our mothers have to.
Because we're going to walk in petrified thinking they're going to stab us walking down the hall. Nay, we don't go for that. We want them out.
They don't make fun. We don't want no black kids in our school. That's all we have.
We want no niggas.
That's right.
Everybody please go on the sidewalk, please. Make it easier for everybody.
No black kids in there. They might get stabbed.
Boycott the school! Boycott the school! Boycott the school! Boycott the school!
What they say?
We want you in school. Now, if you need me at any school, I will make myself available to you. But you must return to school tomorrow. Peacefully. Peacefully.
I came out here because I'm concerned. I go to a high school, and I feel as though, you know, football was the incident. I feel like if a high school's going to play a high school, you should be able to go anywhere in Boston and play a football game and play it like sportsmen, and, you know, not have anyone out there, you know, disrupting the game and taking a kid's legs away from him who evidently wanted a career in professional football. And you take away his legs, and, you know, what's that?
I came out here because I feel as though everybody, not just for just because he had got shot, but for all black and white people to be able to get together and so we can all learn. You know, it shouldn't have to be that we have to all go to a different school, black and white. We have to unite to be one person, so we all will learn. And I'm concerned about him too, but we should all be concerned about going to school and learning the whole thing, because they are taking it out on us, you know. And just like the kids want to play football, of course they're not going to want to play football if someone's called themselves shooting birds and know that birds ain't that big. That's it.
Anything specific that you would hope would come out of this rally?
Just to unite as one, so all of us would be able to go to school. That's it.
Do you intend to go back to school tomorrow?
I will, and peacefully too. I will go, but we just have to get things to happen now. You know, they're saying that they're going to do it, but we have to do it now, because all that's going to happen is that someone else, a black person, is just going to shoot another white person. That's all.
Good evening and welcome to Say Brother. Last April, Say Brother aired a program called A Conversation with the Next Generation, which brought together a group of teenagers 14 to 18 years old to frankly speak their minds on a number of issues affecting the lives of teens today. That show proved to be one of our most successful, judging from the many calls and letters we received from you. Since then, racial tension in the Boston schools has escalated, due in large part to the tragic September shooting of a black Jamaica Plain High School football player named Daryl Williams. The scenes you saw at the top of our show were just two of the incidents related to the tension and violence that followed that shooting. Tonight, we've asked a similar group of teenagers to join us for another conversation with the next generation. And in their responses, we hope to get some information about what has been happening, and we want to know about this tremendous impact that's been happening in our community. I want to also welcome and commend them for their willingness to come forward on this important issue. Welcome all of you to Say Brother. What I'd like to do first is ask them to introduce themselves. Why don't we start with this row in front of me, starting with this lady to my right, and we can go across and then up to you and across over here, then up to you and across over here, okay? You first.
Valerie Majubis, Mission High.
Okay.
Gloria Dorsley, Mission High.
Okay.
Tony Hill, Blessed Sacrament.
Okay.
Rhonda Gamble, Hyde Park.
Okay, speak up, everybody.
Mary Smith, Boston English.
Stacy Valentine, Boston English.
Ernest Parton, Madison Park High.
Anthony Sims, Hyde Park High.
Deland Thomas, Hyde Park High.
Richard Wesley, Hyde Park High.
Nina Karnofsky, Windsor School.
Cedar Spalletta, Windsor School.
Michelle Evanette, Framingham, North High.
Amy Cobb from Another Coastal College.
Pamela Coles, East Boston High.
Okay, over here.
Donna Hayward, Randolph High.
Okay.
Leonard Tate, Latin Academy.
Okay.
Mark Coyle.
Whoops, how about the one in the back and then you?
Mark Coyle, Mission High.
Okay, Mark.
Marilyn Cruz, Blessed Sacrament.
Behind.
Danny Gorham Mission.
Danny?
Alicia Johnson, Grover, Cleveland.
Okay.
Mary Downing, Watertown High.
All right.
John Darien, Watertown High.
All right.
Andrew Burrell, Madison Park High.
Janet Arrington, Madison Park High.
Brian Carroll, Madison Park.
All right.
Norman Mitchell, Madison Park High.
Harold Gay, Hyde Park High.
Allison McGuire, Madison Park High. Eleanor Conley, Madison Park High.
Stephen Whalen, Hyde Park High.
Okay.
Bob Rose, Hyde Park High.
Okay.
Sheila Kyle, East Boston High.
Okay.
Mac Brody, Boston Tech.
Okay, good. Thank all of you. One of the points that one of the last girls made at that Daryl Williams rally was that education was the thing that was going to the background while everything else was in the foreground. I want you to show, through applause, how many of you believe that you're losing education and education is becoming second place because of the violence and all the attention that's given to the violence in the schools. Show me through a round of applause, please. I want to find out how many of you believe you're still being educated even with the violence going on. Sounds about 50-50 to me. Okay, we'll have to see what happens by the end of the show. One of the things that we hope to get from you is some insight on why some of the problems exist, what specifically is going on. Is it the way it's being reported? Do you think it's being reported unfairly? Who do you think is the cause of it? Do you think parents, teachers, staff, faculty, all of those people contribute to it? Or do you think that it's something that's real, that needs to be addressed, that you can help? My next question to you is to talk about the climate in your own school. How does it feel about with the racial tension there because of incidents that have happened in the past and that almost happen on a daily basis at one school or another? Who would like to volunteer that information? Okay.
Well, I think the tension, you know, at our school, you know, it has lots of fights in years and years past.
Mm-hmm.
And
what's your school again?
Hyde Park High.
Okay.
And, you know, it's decreasing now, but it's still a little bit going around, you know.
Okay, what's your name again?
Harold Gay.
Okay, now you feel that the tension in your school is decreasing, it's not as bad as it was?
No, it's not as bad.
Okay, what do you think is lessening that tension?
You know, people coming to school, starting trouble, you know, just wanting to get out.
So the people are leaving the school that are causing the problems?
Yeah, mostly, you know, seniors graduating.
How many of you, by a show of hands, how many of you go to Hyde Park High? Okay, put your hands down. How many of you agree with what he said?
I disagree.
Okay.
Because there is a lot of fights in there. They ain't going to show it because, you know, you can hide it and you can bring it forward. And Harold's right. It slowed down just a little bit because, you know, the teachers started to get some of the students to learn who wants to learn. And I am one of the students who have been in those riots, and I know how it feels to feel that, you know, you got 150 people fighting, and, you know, you're down, and everybody else down with you. And when it breaks up, you know, the principal say, you're suspended, because you can't suspend a person you don't know. If you see, here's the way Hyde Park feel. I'm getting here's the way Hyde Park feel. If you in the corridors at the time of a fight, and, you know, you're running around, but, you know, you're trying to get out of it, okay? They feel like this is, the teacher reports you and you're in it, okay, you get suspended, okay? And I felt like this is myself. How can you suspend a student when you got 150 students running around because of a report? They do that to tell the media that at least they have some kind of responsibility. And I felt like this deeply. If you're going to have some kind of responsibility, get the students who are starting it. Because the students feel like this, if I'm going to get suspended, I'm going to get suspended for a reason. And that's the way a fight started up in Hyde Park.
Are people just arbitrarily selected to be suspended?
Right. They, like, Hyde Park have they have a certain group. Mm-hmm. They have a certain group. If they see them in the corridors, they want to know why you in the corridors, why, and, you know, the bell, it always starts when, you know, you got to change classes. That's the right. And they want to know why you in the corridors and how did you could have avoided, you could have went to a teacher. How can you run to the teachers when the teachers lock the door? How can the principal see what's happening when the principal in his office sitting down? And you got security age and they're trying to break up. You can't break up 250 kids or 150 kids or whichever. Now, they pick a selection. And I'm one of the students in that selection. If they see my face, boom, I'm in trouble. Because just because I'm in that area of them fighting. Even though I don't have to touch the student, I'm saying like this, even though if I don't have to touch a student, I mean, I am in trouble for being there because they want to know why.
Well,
okay.
What is provoking the fights? Why are there so many fights?
Okay, here's all right. You said why there's so many fights. These fights, I'm gonna tell you, these fights at Hyde Park are planned. They are planned. They are planned. They're never like, you have somebody in the background telling these students, you got security age, white security age, and black security age. Half is on the white and half is on the black. And you have adults involved, but adults ain't gonna show up. You have adults involved, and here's how it goes. You hear like this, if somebody walk to you and say, this is gonna be a riot, 4th period, 5th period, or whichever, and then start near the water fountain or near lockers. That's a nudge, a stop. And then the principal, he'll come out after the riot, he'll see your face. Well, him, and him. That's his thing, Okay, that's the section group. Now, like me, I got suspended 14 days. Now, then they suspended me for 14 days because they seen my face in the corridor. Okay, what I had to do to get back in school is to go up there, call the school department, and the school department asked me why.
Okay, good. I want to find out how many other kids here that go to other schools feel the same kind of systematic trouble is being started. Who else goes to another school that feels that it's just as systematic as it is over at Hyde Park? Who believes that of you who go to Hyde Park feel that it's planned, feel that the fights are planned? Okay, why don't you comment about what you think, why you think the fights are planned at Hyde Park? And tell me what your name is.
Oh, Yolande Thomas.
Okay.
Okay. The reason why I think it's planned is because it's just in the air. You come to school one day and everybody's in jeans and sneakers. That's one thing. And then half of the kids who ride on the school bus goes on the MBTA. Or you hear it like a couple of days in advance, there's going to be a riot Wednesday. And you say, what? These kids have got to be crazy. They've got, well, I don't know. I don't feel like staying, especially in the springtime when it's getting hot. Nobody comes to school, or they come to school and they start a riot. And that's ridiculous. I think it is.
Let me ask, with reference to the busing situation, how many of you, by a show of hands now, how many of you believe that it's all because of busing? Okay. I want someone to tell me why they believe it's because of busing. All right. Tell me your name.
Stephen Whalen.
Okay, Stephen.
It started, there was racial trouble in Boston, but the busing, desegregation really brought it out to bloom.
Why do you think that?
Because
why do you think it was able to do that?
Well, if you go to a school, you have your choice that you want to go there, but with desegregation, people are put in a certain school and they don't even want to go there.
Now, what school do you go to?
Hyde Park High.
You go to Hyde Park as well. Okay. Do you believe that the fights over at Hyde Park are planned as well?
No.
You don't feel
no.
planned. Why don't you feel that way?
Because I go to school and I don't hear no rumors, but around second period, that's usually time they break out, and they just break out.
Okay, I have disagreement here then. I have, you two are saying, and I seen you nod your head, that you think they're planned. You don't think they're planned. Why is there a discrepancy here? All right.
My name is Harold Gay, and I go to Hyde Park. And the reason I think, that some people are just not told, like if you have a friend, he's going to tell you, and you're going to tell him, and that's the way it gets going around,
Okay. Who else over here? Some of you said you went to Hyde Park. Did you go?
No, I go to Madison.
Okay, I want to know who else up here goes to Hyde Park. You go to Hyde Park. Do you think that the fights are planned?
No.
You don't? Why don't you think they're planned?
Because last year in a riot broke out. Nothing was planned.
What's your name again?
Robert Rose.
Okay, Robert.
Last year, nothing was planned at all.
Uh-huh.
And it just broke out.
Uh-huh.
All the sharp kids went upstairs and it just broke out.
Okay. Okay, now I want to ask you this. Now, the white students from the school believe that the fights are not planned. The black kids that are speaking from Hyde Park believe the fights are planned. That tells me something right there. I want to talk about that. Do you think there's a possibility that things are being planned Now, I want from you two, since you two believe that they're not being planned. Do you think that there's a possibility that there could be fights planned, and you're not told about them because you're not going to be part of it, but they're told about them because they are going to be included in them, whether to start the fight or because they're going to become victims?
Well, I'm in the sharp course, and usually the sharp course is the first ones to hear about a riot. Maybe once I heard there was going to be trouble, but it didn't break out.
Okay.
You know, usually when there's a planned riot, it'll never break out.
All right. Well, what is your comment to him?
Excuse me. Now, he just said usually when there is a planned riot, it never breaks out. That's incorrect for him because it always breaks out. Now, if the sharp class is the main class, they like about 5 or 10 blacks down there who don't want to be down there because they know how dangerous the sharp is. I had sharp, and I got out of sharp because when I down there, somebody threw a pipe at me, and then teachers told me, go ahead and do your thing. Then they threw another pipe at me.
What do you mean, go ahead and do your thing?
Well, I was working on a project, and he said, finish working on your project,
all right.
and we take care of this here. And like, he gonna ask me, Hein, who threw the pipe at you? My back is turned. How do I know who threw the pipe at me? Okay. Then when you leave, you go upstairs and you wonder, here come all these students running up out of the shop, and the fight's done already. It can be started over one student. Fight done already started. These fights are planned. Maybe they did not hear about because they wasn't involved with them. Okay. Now. Comment. I don't want to start nothing up in here, but I have seen my man over there involved with some over there. All right.
Okay, but he just accused you. What is your name again?
My name is Anthony Sims.
Anthony, and your name is?
Stephen Whalen.
Stephen. Now, Anthony has just accused you of seeing you in fights. Have you ever been in a fight?
Yes.
You have been in a fight. You must have heard about something.
I haven't been in a riot. I've been in a riot because out of the whole school, maybe 5% isn't in the riot. The rest of them are. But the rest of them deny that they're in there because they don't want to get in trouble.
Okay.
I fight.
Is that what you were just doing?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get off Hyde Park for a minute. Let me let you all cool out for a minute. I want to talk about some other schools. Now, let's talk about Jamaica Plain High. Who's here from Jamaica Plain High? Is anybody here from Jamaica Plain High? I want to talk about that for a minute because we just stated at the beginning of the show that Daryl Williams was shot. Now, how many of you know about that incident? By a show of hands. Okay. None of you know about that incident? Oh, something is wrong if you don't know about that incident. Now, I need to know what you think about that incident. I mean, how many of you think that was planned, that Daryl was shot? Okay, let's get somebody else who hasn't spoken. Okay, you in the back.
Well,
tell me your name.
Alicia Johnson from Grover Cleveland School.
Okay.
I think it was planned because how could somebody be up in some place watching these kids playing football of some sort and then just shoot him? I can't understand that. They must have knew he was going to be there, and what thing was he doing at the time? Because they could have got him at another place, but why would they put the football field?
Do you think they were adults, the somebody that you talked about? Do you think?
Yes, I think so.
You don't? Who disagrees? You disagree? Why do you disagree?
Well, all right. There was 3 boys involved in what was going on. Okay, 2 of them.
Now, what was going on? I thought a football game was going on.
Okay, a football game was going on. Okay, but then you had the students that were up on the roof. Supposedly.
Were you at the football game?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, how do you know any of what you're talking about?
Well, because I know people that are on the football team. I know cheerleaders and things that play for each of these teams.
Okay, you have to substantiate, what you're saying. Now, I want to know. Go ahead, tell your story.
Okay, you have students that were 3 guys that were on the roof, supposedly shooting at pigeons. Okay, 2 of them were underage, which means it had to be planned because if the 2 that were underage were doing the shooting, they wouldn't be charged with the crime because they were juveniles. Then you had the 1 adult, which just makes it seem like, all right, we'll have an adult, and maybe if we get caught or something, they have somebody right there to be charged. Okay. And it won't seem like it was all just planned, juveniles get away with it, and that's it.
Okay, go ahead.
We don't have a lot
What's your name, huh?
Mary Downing. I'm from Watertown High. From an outside point of view, it seems, from hearing about it, and I only know about it secondhand, it seems like there's just a few people, and that's sort of what's causing all the tension. Then everybody gets caught up in it. And it's just those few people, like in the Daryl Williams incident and other incidents, that just start everything going, and that's where all the tension comes from.
But if you don't make a point of those few people that have been stabbed and shot, Don't you
Yeah.
think that's just going to continue to happen over and over again?
Yeah.
Don't you think that's important? That's someone's life that we're talking about. I want to talk about who of you feel your parents, being very honest with yourselves, your parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, sisters, brothers, teachers, people that work at that function as staff in the schools contribute to this tension. Okay? Why do you think that? What's your
My
name?
name is Richard Wesley. I go to Hyde Park High.
All right.
I think the home is very influential on the kids.
Okay.
Right? That's where it starts from.
Okay.
And if it wasn't for that, then
Why do you think that? Does your parent talk about racial hatred in your house?
yes, my grandmother's prejudiced.
She's prejudiced. Okay.
Mhm.
What kinds of things does she say to you?
Like she don't want me seeing a white girl or certain white person she don't want me hanging with. You know, because they're trouble.
Does that
Or-
affect you when you go to school and you see somebody white, boy or girl?
No,
It
because I'm
doesn't
not
affect
prejudiced.
you. Have you ever been in any of these riots or fights that have happened at your school?
Almost.
Almost. Why almost?
Because I think he backed down.
He backed down.
Yeah.
Okay. But you don't believe you've ever provoked anything?
No.
Okay. How many others here are gutsy enough to tell us whether or not they feel their family is really contributing to how they feel in terms of their interpretation of what a race should be doing or where they should be or how they should act? Everyone else feels their okay.
Excuse me. I like when I'm at home.
What's your name
Oh,
again?
I'm sorry. My name is Anthony Sims.
Okay. I keep doing that so they can identify you
All
and
right. My name
everyone
is
else
Anthony.
will know where you
Okay.
came
My
from.
name is Anthony Sims.
Okay.
When I'm at home, my mother always told me, you know, if you're gonna go to school and something happen, protect yourself. I don't care if they're white, black, or whichever. My mother's not prejudiced, but my brothers are now. They feel that if you're in there,
Are your
he's
brothers
white,
in school?
no, all my brothers are out of school. I'm the only Sims in Boston Public School so far, and they feel they just said, if you're gonna get hurt, kill the first whitey who come near you. All right, don't even let them nudge you. That's the way my brothers feel. My mother tells me different. My mother tells me, you know, think before you do something.
Okay.
If you're gonna protect yourself. I can understand that, but think before you do it.
Okay. How do any of you feel when he says that? I mean, what happens to you inside when he says that?
I agree.
Nothing?
I think
Absolutely
that
nothing.
Well, kill me or?
Yeah.
It doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother you? How can it not affect you?
It's his point.
Now, that's the kind of attitude sometimes that you feel present in the schools, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
all
how
the
do you
time.
get around that? How do you get around that? That's what we're trying to deal with. How do we ignore that?
I have a question. Do you feel the same way about him, vice versa?
Yeah, if he's gonna harm me, of course it's only
So
human.
you're not ignoring.
That's
You're not ignoring. You can't ignore it. See, and that's what we have to deal with. We have to address what provokes it, and we have to try to find vehicles to try to prevent it. Okay? Now, one of the things that we need to talk about is to how to be truthful with ourselves in terms of our own surrounding at home, okay, and our friends and how they affect us, what we do. We know what we do. You all know what you do better than anybody else, whether you tell us on television, off television, or any place else. You all know what you're doing best, okay? And I think that you all really make the difference, okay? Now, we had an incident at East Boston High that was a terrible incident too. And you heard how those students felt about black folks, okay, because one of those black folks there stabbed a white kid after Daryl was shot, okay? Now that's what can happen. It continues to compound itself, okay? We're going to take a break. We're going to go to a community calendar break for about 2 minutes. We're going to talk about some things here. We're going to share some more of those things when we come back. We're also going to open our phone lines to you. The telephone number is 491-0340. Again, 491-0340. And this, again, is only for Friday nights. So if you're looking at Saturday or Sunday repeat, you cannot call in. But for Friday night, please call 491-0340. We'll be right back. We're back. Now, while we were taking that break, we had quite a few ideas that came up that they would like to talk about. We're going to talk about some of those things while we're waiting for some phone calls. But again, our lines are open. The telephone number is 491-0340, and we want you to call and ask us some questions. They're going to try to answer them for you. Try not to make them too difficult, but be very realistic, and let's see if we can get to the root of some of the problems that we do have going on in the Boston school system. You said you went to East Boston High. What were some of the problems that you found there when you went to East Boston High?
It was like, they had more advantage over us. Like,
tell me your name, too.
Amy Cobb, from another course of college. Like, when we went there, like, when you have to ride the train, when you miss your bus, like a whole bunch of them come up in the car and say, hey, what you doing around here? You're in the wrong place, But, like, when they come over here, it seemed like they got more advantage over us. They can do whatever they please except for, like, a few little incidents that might go on.
When you say when they come over here, over where?
Like Dorchester and Roxbury, like that.
All right, okay.
And, you go over there, they'd be ready to fight and everything. Like, when we going to the train, one boy got stabbed just for riding the train. They just jumped in for no reason.
Okay, let's answer a telephone call, and then we'll go back to some other points. Hello, you're on Say Brother. May I have your question, please? May I have your question, please? You're on Say Brother. Hello?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
I would like to address this question to Richard Wesley, please.
All right, Richard Wesley. Okay, Richard, go ahead.
I would like to know, how would he defend himself? Would he defend to hurt someone if he had to really defend himself? Would he use all those crazy antics I see him use in the gym? Or would he try to back down from the fight?
Okay, thank you for your question. Richard, do you want to start answering?
No, I think if I was in that position, I'd rather talk to the person than rather fight. I'll do anything to avoid a fight.
All right. That's his answer to you. He'll do anything to avoid a fight. Okay, we have another phone call. Hello, you're on Say Brother. May I have your question, please? You're on the air. Gone? Okay. You said that you wanted to talk about the teachers, okay, and what the teachers do to contribute to the violence. What do they do?
Most of the teachers, they don't admit it outright, but you can tell. You go to the class, and like most of the teachers at Hyde Park High are white, and you go to the class and you sit there, and they like most of the classes that I'm in has about 2 to 3 blacks. Right? And you go to the class, I'm not saying all of them are, but they tend to teach, like they just forget you there and teach all the white kids. And you sit there and you go, what is he talking about? Or what is she talking about? And you don't know, because he's not talking to you like he's talking to the other white kids. And another thing I feel is that most of the teachers that have been in the school have been there for like 10, 15 years. Some of the teachers are used to teaching all blacks. Some of the teachers are used to teaching all whites. So now you bring the blacks in with the whites, and they're not used to it. They just can't cope with it. So they just, teach who they know who to teach.
Okay, we have another phone call. Hello, you're on Say Brother. May we have your question, please?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Yes, I think the problem to this is forced busing.
Okay. Do you have a question?
Yes. Why do we have forced busing? And before it, we never heard of such violence in our schools.
Okay. Thank you very much. That's a very good question. Why do you believe that there is busing here now in Boston? Who hasn't had an opportunity to speak? Come on, some new hands. Okay.
Because it's the schools that they wanted to go to.
I'm sorry?
It's the schools that they wanted to go to.
It's a school that they want. Can you really determine which school you go to now?
Madison Park.
Can you determine which one you want to go to? You can't really say which one you want to go to. Well, you can say which one you want to, but that doesn't mean you're going to get there, right?
True.
One of the statements that the girl made at the top of the show was that her friends were going to Madison Park, in fact, and they wanted to go back to the school that was in East Boston. So they can't really determine that. Okay? What's your comment?
Well, my comment is, it ain't really the schools. It was like this. All blacks was going to this school. Now don't
forget the question. The question is, why is there forced busing? She wants to know why you believe there's forced busing. I want to see how many of you really understand that.
It's just to determine to mix blacks with white, so they can get the same knowledge as, a white kid would
How many of you believe that there's a difference in the educational system in one part of the city, say South Boston, versus what's happening in Roxbury? Do you think there's a difference in what's being taught? You do think there's a difference. Okay, let's hold right there. We have another telephone call. Let's take that question, okay? Hello, you're on the air. This is Say Brother. May I have your question, please?
Hello?
Yes, may I have your question?
Yes, I can barely hear you.
Okay.
I'd like to know if the students on the program actually believe that the racial problem in Boston is any different than other urban centers throughout the country, or whether they believe that the explosive and dynamic coverage given by the media, such as the Globe and the television stations, has in fact provoked the situation to be as bad as it is.
Okay, thank you. Who'd like to answer that? Okay, how about you over there? Your name?
Donna Hayward.
Okay, Donna.
At my school, there wasn't really any racial tension. And now that, you know, it started in Boston and everything, I go to Randolph High.
All right.
And it's predominantly white. There's a few
Okay.
black people.
All right.
And it seems like now I'll walk down the hall and they'll say, "What's up, nigga?" You know. And if I'm with a lot of people, you know, they'll say stuff back. I can't say what they'll say, but, you know, they'll do something. And I was riding down the street with my friend, her car, and they reach out and they say, "Yeah, what's up, nig?" You know, and it's getting to the point where they want to start trouble now from their friends from in town.
Okay.
Because we have a lot of people from South Boston moving out there.
Okay, but the question was, do we believe that it's any different here than it is in other cities? You think it's the same in other cities? Okay, now do you also believe that this kind of coverage and media coverage from the Globe, the Herald, and other major newspapers and the smaller newspapers are some of the major reasons why there's such problems?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
Because it helps
why?
along- It kind of helps it along with, if you like, kids want to see their names in the paper or something.
You
know,
think
it helps, it helps it along a little.
You think so with private interviews and whatnot?
Yep.
Okay. All right. We have a telephone call, another one. Let's take that. Hello, you're on Say Brother. May I have your question, please?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air. May we have your question?
Yes, I would like to know, in all honesty, how many of the children honestly think their parents are mainly responsible for this? And second question is, why do they not try to get together with their parents and straighten this out in their own homes?
Very good questions. Thank you very much. Okay, you said it was your grandmother that influenced you somewhat. Why don't you answer that?
Well,
Raymond, correct?
Richard
I'm
West.
sorry. Okay, I won't do that again. All right, go ahead.
What's the question?
Why do you really believe that your parents and grandparents, in your case, are really influencing you? And if so, why aren't you doing something to change their attitude?
Well, see, myself, I'm at the age where I'm able to deal with what they're saying, like pass it by, sort of like I listen to it, hear what they have to say, but I won't take heed to it. Whereas you take a 13-year-old, 12-year-old, and they're more apt to listening and taking it in. And when they get out on the streets, they kind of show it.
Mm-hmm.
And like I go down the street sometime, and I hear people come by in a car talking about nigga and whatnot, holding their finger up at me and whatnot.
Talking about your grandmother's attitude, okay? Do you ever try to influence her attitude, to try to change her attitude, to make it more open, more receptive?
No, well, see, I don't know. I guess you could say she's set in her ways.
Yes, I'm
it's
sure
very
she is.
hard to change
Okay.
a person like her.
Okay.
She's,
Okay, we have another phone call. Hello, you're on Say Brother. May we have your question, please?
Hello?
Yes, may we have your question?
I would like to address this question to Anthony Sims.
Anthony Sims, okay.
Yeah.
What's the question?
Do you think you would have a better education going to Dorchester High than Hyde Park High if there wasn't any busing?
Okay, thank you very much. Do you live in Dorchester, Anthony?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
To that question, I felt like to say it wouldn't be no change of education because the same school, they teach you the things over and over from grammar school. It just might get a little hard, but I don't think it'll be a different education going to another school like Dorchester High, because Dorchester High is just in the same community, just distance. That's all. That's what I feel towards it.
Okay, now we have people here from other schools, suburban schools, from parochial schools. I'm very curious as to what's happening in those schools. Maybe you two come from different schools. Why don't you tell me what's happening in the area that you go to? Tell me your name and what school you go to.
I'm Zita. I go to Windsor School.
Mm-hmm.
There is really no racial violence in my school at all.
Okay. Are there a lot of white and third world students in your school? Is there a great mix?
No, there isn't.
Oh, well, that might have something to do with why, do you think?
Well,
Do you think the school would be open to more third world students?
yeah.
You think so? Okay. How about you?
Hi, I'm Michelle Evanet, and I go to Framingham North High School.
Okay.
And I feel that there's no racial discrepancies there. I mean...
Is it a mixed school?
Well, yeah, it is. We have black kids from Framingham, and we have black kids, Medco kids. and everybody's, I don't know, everybody's very friendly. There's never really seems to be any fights between blacks and whites.
Okay.
Everybody's very comfortable.
Okay, I want to get to the kids from the parochial schools, but before that, let's take another question. Hello, you're on the air. You're on Say Brother. May we have your question, please?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
I would like to send this question to Anthony Sims.
All right. May we have the question, please?
When he's in school, do he feel scared? If so, what would he do?
I think he's really answered that. He said that he would try his best not to fight. Or was that you? That was you. That was Richard. Okay. Go ahead, Anthony.
Now that question was, if I was in school, would I feel scared to fight?
Yes.
No, I wouldn't. Cause only one reason why that I'm never scared, cause I'm like a 3rd degree black belt, and I feel like this here. If I have to protect myself, I will take another human being's life if that's the way it has to be.
Okay, I think you understand his position. Okay, we have another question. Let us 1 second. Let us have your question, please. You're on the air.
Hello?
May I have your question? You're on the air.
Yes, my question is to one black student and one white student.
All right.
I'd like to know that if they think that if if every black went to one school and every white went to one school, and all different minorities just in one school, do they think their feelings against each other would change?
Okay. Okay. Why don't you answer?
All right. Like the girl over here from Framingham said, all the blacks and whites get along. I can remember back...
What's your name and what school do you go to?
Allison McGuire, and I go to Madison Park High.
Okay.
I can remember back before busing started, I live in front of a school, and my brother and sister went to that school, and I can remember going over with them, and there were blacks that went to that school, Spanish, all different kinds of people. There was never any fights. In the town that I live in, we had blacks living in that town. It's just that when busing started, people were forced to be taken out of their own schools in your own neighborhood.
So do you believe that if all white students, as she said, went to one school and all blacks went to the other school and every other ethnic group went to their own respective areas, it would be less problem?
It was integrated. Well, this school, had minorities and things before. It's just that when people were told, you're forced, this is the law, you have to go over there, you have no choice. Your street is geocoded for this school and your street. You say, why can't I go to my own town school? Because you're geocode, and that's it.
Okay, someone to answer for the black student. Go ahead.
Nah, I don't think you can really,
You're Richard, right?
Richard
All
Wesley.
right. Okay, great.
Separating the two, the black and the white, wouldn't really make a difference. Like I was saying before, it starts at home. Right? Once it starts there, it can go anywhere.
Okay.
Right, including the streets.
Okay, we have another phone call. Hello, you're on Say Brother. May we have your question, please?
Hello?
You're on the air?
Hello?
Yes, may I have your question?
Yes. Do you feel that most problems are caused by groups of kids, or do you think that one person, like say if they were prejudiced or something, do you think that they would be bold enough to come out and start something?
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, why don't you answer?
It always happens in groups. No one really feels secure if they're alone. They'll probably keep quiet and walk by, but if they're in a group, it just builds them up a little so they can say something to somebody or something. If they were alone, they're not about to say anything.
Who disagrees with that? You disagree? Why do you disagree?
I disagree, because my name is Harold Gay. I disagree because,
I think we know you now. Okay.
Because, say if somebody came up to me, just came up and think because they're in a group gonna jump me, I'm gonna have to bang with them, It ain't gonna get away like that.
You like to hear that, huh? Okay, we have another telephone call. Hello, you're on the air. May we have your question, please?
Hello. I'd like to direct my question to Anthony Sims.
Speak up for me.
I would like to direct my question to Anthony Sims.
Okay.
And I would like to know if the teachers try to ignore the racial...
I'm sorry?
I would like to know if the teachers try and ignore the racial situation and help the students out.
Did you understand?
I understood it. She would like to know, do the teacher ignore the situation to help the other student?
Oh, okay.
Okay. No, because I had a teacher there who felt like this here, if the students are going to beef, let's close down the school. And that was it.
If the students are going to be what?
Well, fighting, let's close down the school. And I had one teacher felt like this here, do not fight, come in here and learn what you have to learn. And if you learn what you have to learn, you'll be okay. And, you know, you have different teachers with different opinions. Because I have teachers who told me, go out there, do your thing, because if you're going to get hurt, you might as well fight.
Okay. Is there any difference that goes on in the parochial schools where the three of you go? What's the difference?
In my school.
What's your name?
Valerie Majupis.
Okay, and what's your school?
Mission High.
Okay, what's the difference?
In my school, everything's mixed together. There's half black, half white, and there's others mixed in. We never had any problem because we just get along together, and there's never any problem.
You never have any problems in your school?
Never.
Do you go to that same school?
I go to the school, but some of the kids, like, say, like, I'm mixed. They have, like, a white father or a black mother, and it doesn't really bother them. Everybody gets along, but you'll see, like, say if they go out in the streets and everything, they'll see a different kid that doesn't go to the school, and they'll say, hi, zebra, something like that. They'll tease him.
Okay. Tony?
Well, I agree with Valerie. I go to parochial school, too, and, you know, it's mixed. We have a lot of Spanish, and everybody seems to get along fine, you know.
Okay. We want to talk about the reasons why. Okay, we have another telephone call. Let's take that. Hello, you're on Say Brother. May we have your question, please?
Yes. I'd like to know if some of the kids feel that a lot of the violence out in the streets is related to the tension in the schools.
Okay. Who wants to answer that? You want to answer that? Okay.
Violence in the schools starts in your communities because you get... In each of the communities in Boston, you have South Boston, which is predominantly white. You have Roxbury and Dorchester, which is predominantly black, all right? You can get the students in South Boston and say, hey, let's have a fight tomorrow, okay? And then you get the students in Roxbury to say, well, if they're going to fight us, then we're going to plan something out too, all right? So everybody goes to school with the attitude of, we're going to have a big fight.
Okay.
Right, so if the students were integrated within the communities, there wouldn't be such of a problem within the schools.
Okay, I saw your hand raised in the back. You want to identify yourself and tell me what you think?
Mark Coyle, Mission High.
Okay, Mark.
I think, like, on the streets, it doesn't really happen because in school, you know, they're under the pressure of the teachers, you know, they talk, like, but out in the streets, you know, you can talk to anyone, you know, and nobody will start any, like, no fights or anything.
Okay. All right. We have another telephone call. Hello, you're on Say Brother. May we have your question, please?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to direct this to all the students there.
Okay.
And I want to know if they taught racial tension in the classroom, taught the students about it, would they like it, and how they would benefit from it. Okay. Do you understand that?
I don't know. Do you understand it?
Yeah, I understand.
Why don't you find another way to say that? They want you to say it another way.
Well, like if they was to teach you in the classroom about racial tension and forced busing, right? Would you like that? And if you did, how do you think you would benefit from it?
Okay. You go.
I think that
Name?
My name's Stacy Valentine.
Okay, Stacy.
I think that that's one of the things that came up when when my friends were talking, that the teachers and the students need to get in on it. Okay, they need to have classes like that so they can like feel at ease to talk about it. You know, so if someone calls them a nigger, they won't really. If someone calls me a nigger, I won't really just jump off and, you know, be ready to fight, but be able to deal with it. You know, and feel that I'm not a nigger because I know I'm not. You know, and just deal with it. And if everybody gets in on it and everybody talks about it, then I think that eases it.
Okay. Tony?
I want to ask a question. All of you mainly all go to public schools, right? By listening to the three of us, we go to parochial schools, and hearing that we don't have any fights or anything, do any of you feel that you like to switch and try out?
No, not really. You'd rather fight than switch?
You would like to switch?
I switched for a year.
What did you switch to?
A private school, Commonwealth school.
Was it any better?
Well, there was 10 blacks out of 126 students in the school, and it was hard. It was really hard in the school because I found how the black students were under more pressure. There were 2 Chinese students also.
Okay, I want to come back to that point. Let's answer another question. Hello, this is Say Brother. You're on the air. May we have your question, please?
Hello?
Yes, you're on the air.
I go out in Framingham, and I just like to know, and because we get along very well out there, and I just like to know to the kid that goes out in Framingham, why she thinks they get along much better out there instead of like in Boston schools.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. You have any idea?
Not really.
Not
I
really.
mean, just everybody's kind of.
You have idea? What do you think they do?
Yeah, they weren't forced. Their rights weren't taken away.
Okay,
You know,
what school
like
do you go
us.
to?
Madison Park
Are you forced? Do you feel you're being forced bused over there? Where do you live?
in Charlestown.
Uh-huh.
All right,
So you're being bused to Madison Park.
yeah.
You dislike it?
I don't dislike Madison. I like Madison very much.
Do you feel that you're being forced over there? Would you have chosen something else given
I would have
you had
chose
the choice?
Charlestown High mainly for one reason. Where I have to pick my bus up, it's a longer walk to my bus stop than it is to my school.
Do you think that that's one of the reasons that we are having some of the problems, because people do feel they would have preferred to stay in their own community?
Yeah, like I said, I can remember blacks living in Charlestown, and we still do.
Mm-hmm. We still do what?
We still have blacks living in Charlestown.
Oh, okay.
And I remember, them when they used to come over to
You
the
said I
Edward
remember
School.
like it was a long time ago. You don't have blacks over there anymore?
All right, before busing started, all right?
There are very few or no blacks over there now. Is that what you're saying?
There's, there's very few, but before busing started, the Edward School used to have basketball games all the time. It had a real, good thing going there. And I can remember them, coming over on the train and walking through the streets. Nobody said anything.
So what happens now?
Just like I wouldn't probably be able to walk the streets of Roxbury, and someone.
But what's happening in Charlestown now?
A black wouldn't be able to walk through Charlestown.
What happens? What have you seen happen to them? So you talked about the way it was, okay, which makes me deal with the present, okay, so we can do something better for the future. What's happening now?
Racial slurs, things like that.
Have you ever contributed to that?
No.
You have never contributed to it? Have you ever seen it happen?
What?
Have you ever seen it happen? Have you ever witnessed it?
I've seen it happen.
Have you ever tried to stop it? No. Have you ever tried to stop it?
I've seen it. I've seen the Power Kids stopping it, because I can remember.
What are the Power Kids?
The Power Kids, they're against forced busing.
Okay.
And one time, a black couple were going through Medford Street in Charlestown, and the kids stole their truck, and the people there were the first ones out there to take the lady in and help her.
Okay, but tell me why you didn't help. See, I think that's the key right there.
I just heard about that. I didn't see that.
Oh, okay. How many black students here have seen white folks be attacked or have racial slurs thrown at them? Okay, Brian, what have you ever done about it? Have you ever done anything about it?
No.
You've never. Why?
Wasn't my place.
It wasn't your place?
No.
Whose place is it?
It was between them. It wasn't between me.
No, but how do you think? What kind of future do you have if you continue to say it's not my place, it's their place? I understand what you're saying. You don't want to get hurt either. But at what point does it become your place? Before you know it, you'll be sitting here, and I'll be the grandmother that he's talking about. So at what point do we start to make the change? I'm very serious. Okay, so how do we do that? How do we make that change?
By getting involved.
That's right. Well, how are you going to do that?
Like I'm saying,
fight in the hallways of Hyde Park High?
No, I'm explaining to you right now. Like I was on Blue Avenue one day, and like it was a car accident in there, and the whitey had hit a black person. I didn't want to feel like that.
Address each other.
Wait a minute, hold on. Let me explain it to you. Like he had hit a black person, and the black person didn't like it, right? The black person got out. He started swinging at the white boy, and when that happened, black people. Wait a minute. Let me tell you. Black people did get involved. They had grabbed, and they, asked them, why did you do that? Because it wasn't called for. Because you could have got out and just changed paper. Even myself, I even spoke on it being my way. I even said that wasn't right for hitting on that white person for no reason. If you get involved with things will slow down. Not stand there and watch it.
Okay, before we further this, let's see if we have another phone caller waiting on the line. Hello, you're on the air. Do we have a question? No, everybody's saying no. We don't want to move phone calls for a moment. Okay. Wait, we want to double check. Do we have a question? Hello, you're on the air. This is Say Brother. Is there a question? Going once, twice, let's go 3 times. Okay, go ahead. You want to comment?
Yes. Now could we talk about the Daryl Williams, the one about the bail?
You want to talk about the bail, about the people that were arrested for shooting Daryl Williams?
Yeah, what happened?
Okay, what about it?
Well, how come they got out by bail? See, if it was a black person shooting at a white person, right? They probably get life or more than 20 years. And I don't think that's even fair.
Okay. Well, we're speculating, because unless you throw up a specific case, you have difficulty in proving that.
Like the youngest one, I think he was 16, was a white boy. He went to Mass and he got suspended the first day he got there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not gonna lie about that. And hey, he got kicked out of school. He tried to go to other schools. He got kicked out still. I don't think that's even right. At least he should deserve a couple of years in jail.
Okay. I want to go back to what we can do, though, what we can do about that. Now, you're talking about the judicial system. I don't know what to tell you about the judicial system. Anyone who watches Say Brother knows that we pay particular attention to it and the correctional institutions, and we try to make some change. And so far, we've been doing pretty well. Small little pieces here and there, but we're doing something about it. And I want you all to do something about what's happening now in Boston, and specifically in the school that you go to or the school that you know your family goes to. What can you do? What will you do?
Well, I feel as though us as the young adults of the city of Boston and other suburban parts have more power in what's going on than any adults do, because we are the ones that will run this city eventually.
That's right.
And if we don't start now and come together as one group, we'll never get started.
Okay.
Never.
Okay, we have another question. This is Say Brother. You're on the air. May we have your question, please?
Hello, this is Karen Bowie from Brighton High. I just wanted to know why Catholic schools doesn't have riots as public schools would.
Okay, that's a good question. Why do you think?
Because when you go to
What is your name?
Gloria Dorsley.
Okay, Gloria.
Because some of the kids that go to Catholic school will say, well, they'll be good in front of the nuns. And once they get out, they'll hang loose.
Okay.
Like, they'll start acting wild in the streets and everything. But when they get in front of a nun, they'll say, yes, sister, thank you, sister, and everything like that. But they won't say that in front of the nuns.
Okay.
But most of the kids in Mission are all to get together.
Okay. Great.
Maybe what she's saying is true. But then again, I think that riots and stuff like that do happen in those schools.
Okay.
But they are not made public.
Okay.
They sort of like sweep it under the rug. But anything that happens in the city of Boston is made public. Okay. That's what I think.
Well, the parochial schools are in the city of Boston, and there's really no reason for them to say that it's not peaceful in there.
Maybe
if it isn't.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, I went to a parochial school.
Okay.
There's no trouble over there, but it's the way you're taught over there. You have to be so prim and proper. And they don't deal with reality. Everything has to do with religion and God. Everything's love thy neighbor, and that's it.
Okay, we're going to take one last phone call. Hello, this is Say Brother. You're on the air. May we have your question, please?
Yes, I go to a all-white school, well, a white majority school, and I would like to know the opinion of the kids to a black student union that is closed to white kids.
What is the question?
I go to a majority white school.
I understand that.
And the black kids that are there have a black student union.
Okay.
And it is closed to white kids, and I wanted to know the opinion of the kids to this. I don't think it's trying to put on an effort to make equality between the two or anything.
What school are you talking about?
Excuse me?
What school are you talking about?
The black kids. I don't think it's, I don't think they're making it equal.
What is
or
the name
trying
of
to
your
make
school?
it equal.
What is the name of your school?
I can't say that.
Well, I don't know if they can answer it for you.
I went to an all-white school and we had a black students council.
Okay.
Okay? The reason we had these meetings, we did not close them to the white students, but we felt as though the black students, being a minority in the school, had some sort of right to get together and talk about different things that were going on throughout the school. We never closed our meetings to the white students.
Okay. I'm going to have to stop here. We have run out of time. The hour is over. It was a very good school. I want to applaud you all. You all are very good. Thank you for watching Say Brother. Tune in next week. Good night. Well, we're really good. Well, we're really, really good. Don't go away. Don't go away, okay? Just sit down and talk a little bit further.